All right, all right. Good morning. Happy hump day, Wednesday. A little late start here. What do we got? 7 minutes. Bulls in control again. They've been riding this up during the overnight session. 3 days now in a row. Where's my mouse? Here we go. 3 days in a row now in this range of what, 800 to about 23,000 with no resolution yet. So that's now day 3. I would hope by now we have some type of breakout either to the upside or to the downside. That's what I'm looking for in terms of levels. Are we going to push above this 23,000 area for the final break? I mean, it's been 3 days in a row now within that range of 800 to about 23,000. I would think we're going to get a breakout today, but that's what I thought yesterday. So now 3 days in a row of literally a chop fest. Yesterday was not the day to trade. I got chopped up pretty bad. I did capture a nice little trade later in the afternoon. You guys noticed I called it quits pretty early. I got chopped up. Little paper cuts, but they added up. So when I feel like that, and when I see that I'm just not in sync, and I should have realized it a lot sooner. Honestly, yesterday was not the day to trade at all. I mean, that was some serious chop. And if you are going to trade, I should have switched to see profit, take profit. I had some nice green in some of those trades and held on a choppy day. So lesson learned. Finally, I think I took a little break, disconnected, and then yesterday I came back around 11:30, caught this little high here for about 50 points and recovered. But again, yesterday, especially the open, was brutally choppy. If we start seeing that again, then I'm going to have to switch again to see profit, take profit, and scalp. I was scalping Monday, I was scalping Thursday, Friday, and then yesterday, because of the consolidation, I honestly thought we were going to get a breakout, in other words, continuation, and it was just like 70, 80 points up, 90, 100 points down, and then right back up. So it was brutal. Let's see what today brings. Now that is, again, 3 days in a row in that range of 800 to about 1,000. How much longer is this thing going to consolidate? Well, I don't think you can say that. You know, how high is it going to go? How low is it going to go? But let's hope today we get better price action. Let's hope we can identify bad price action a lot sooner. Anytime you see me running for the hills that quick after a couple losses, again, they were paper cuts, but still, nonetheless, I don't think I got one green trade yesterday. I think I put 4 or 5 trades, and all red, all decent stops. But that's my cue to run for the hills, and I did. And took a little break, came back in the afternoon, and got a nice little 50-point trade. But like I said, that was a chop. I should have identified that chop a lot sooner and just call it. All right, we are 3 minutes from the open. Again, we're hovering around this previous day high, overnight high. Is today finally the day we break out above 23,000. 23,100 would obviously be the first target. That's your current, isn't that the current all-time high somewhere up there? Yeah, 23,001 something. So if we're going to break out, then today might be the day. If not, then I got to catch this chop fest a lot sooner and do a better job identifying chop and run for the hills sooner. Good morning to everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I know you guys have a lot of options out there with talented traders, so thank you, and I appreciate you tuning in. See if we can get some green. 2 minutes for the casino to open, and that's the game plan. Let's see what happens at this area. Are we going to just rally right at the open? I mean, the bulls have been pushing all night. Are we going to continue, or ascending channels tend to break to the downside? Pivot points. What do we got a pivot point? We got a pivot point right up at that 970, call it 23,000 area. So somewhere up here, potential rally right up there, and an initial rejection, take a scalp to the downside. Could do that. If this consolidation that we've had now 3 days, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, in that 800, right? This is your zone, 800 to about 23,000. If we're finally going to break out of that today, we're in the upper part of that range. Is today the breakout? Bulls are leading us to believe it's playing out that way, but yesterday was trappy. I got caught in some traps. I was pretty strict with the stop, but still took a little too many paper cuts, unnecessary, when you identify that nasty chop. All right, 1 minute for this casino to open. We got pivot point at that 22,980. Call it 23,000. Is this the breakout above 23, or do we need a pullback first, then the push up? We'll find out. All right, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, and we are hovering at a pivot point right now as we speak. Looks like the bulls want to continue this push upwards. Here we go, casino's open. All right, bulls are pushing. They're trying to break out at 23,000. Initial push. A 23-point push so far. And they hold this and continue the push up. Looks like they are. All right, 23,000. If the bulls are going to make the move today, then they're after 23,100. Question is, how do I participate in this without getting trapped? Wait for a pullback. Are we even going to get a pullback? So let's be a little patient. So far, 37 points to the upside. All right, here comes the first pullback. See how far it goes. Is it a trap? And we come right back down, or are we just going to get a slight little pullback, maybe test one of these moving averages and then push right back up? Or is this bulls are in control, let's rally to the upside, no pullback there? Morning, Peter. If it's a no pullback day, then it'll be a little tricky to participate. She goes 920. So clearly bulls have some momentum going with this play. They are after probably 23,100. How long will I wait for a pullback before I just call momentum to the upside and participate? Without getting trapped. Okay, there's another little attempted pullback. Problem is, you're so used to the last couple of days of brutal moves up and down that when you finally get a directional move to the upside, you don't get in, and that's the day that you get direction. So being patient, trying to avoid getting caught trapped. I'd like a pullback, test some of these moving averages, but bulls are in control. They're just not going to give that pullback, and they're just going to continue to the upside. $44 points now. Let's see if we're going back to crazy NASDAQ wicks, or are we getting a directional day now finally? How do I participate in this without getting chopped up? So far has not been punishing any FOMO traders. You got in on that first candle. You're in the green with no harsh pullback yet. Go straight to funded. Morning, brother. All right, so far we're looking like a directional day, and like I said, I think I'm just so used to seeing chop for the last couple of days. What I'm afraid of is popping without a pullback. Sorry, did I think I accidentally hit the wrong button. I've been talking to myself here for a while. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. All right, let's see what we got. If they're going to continue this to 23,100, this is probably as far of a pullback we're going to get. Let's not get too greedy just yet. $72 points, man. Jesus. No pullback yet. Let's see if we get a pullback at this pivot point. Something that I can participate in. Otherwise, it's a FOMO in day and just ride this. Give me something. Looks like that was the pullback. That was it. All right, I'm going to participate in this. See if we get a stronger push here. I do have to realize that I could take a pullback here, 20 points. And let's see if we can push above this pivot point. We're at the pivot point right now. If it's going to fail, it's going to fail here and I'll get stopped out. Otherwise, you know, we may have that run to 23,100. Do have to widen the stop a little bit. How many points is that? 25 points there. This is pivot point, so I'm playing the break above pivot point. I may even add if we have a stronger flush and a hold around the 9. If it just breaks down, then be it. That's the end of the play, and we'll have a stronger pullback to the downside. Otherwise, we're breaking out. Looking for this breakout above pivot point, possibly targeting this 100 area. So let's call it something like this for now. But it does have to break above this pivot point. $15-minute opening range in 3 minutes. See if the bulls have more momentum above this pivot point and continue to push up. Pushing my stop a little closer to that 9 EMA. This needs to be a strong break above this pivot point if they're going after 23,100. So far, not looking like the strongest break above that pivot point, but let's be patient. If we're just going to come back into the same area that we've been in, between 800 and 23,000, then this is probably the high for now, and then we'll take some type of pullback back into the same range we've been playing for 2 days, unable to break above 23,000. Let's see if today's the day. 23,000 has been resistance for the last couple of days. This could be a complete trap, hitting the top of the range for the last couple of days and come right back down. So time is not in my favor in terms of breaking out of this. It'd be a quick little trap, and then the flush right back down into the same range we've been playing for the last 2 days. As the 9 EMA starts to curl, I'm going to tighten my stop even further. I'm playing a breakout, I'm not playing consolidation, so I don't need to take much heat on this. Tighter stop. If the breakout is a fake out, then like I said, I don't need to be a part of it. All right, they're pretty close to all-time high, so I'm assuming at this point they want it and they're going to go after it. See if we get lucky on this one. Because of the chop involved for the last couple of days, at this point I will go with a green P&L. I'm not absorbing a loss on this. Going after 23,100, and I have a take profit at 96. Let me not lose to a tick again, so I'm going to drop it to 94.50. Of course, with this much momentum, this probably will blow right through that number. But I can, if I want to take another trade, I can wait for a pullback and participate to the upside. Come on, don't get weak on me. Don't get weak. I am trailing candles at this point. $23,100 will require some strength. Let's see if they have it in them on this move. If not, then it'll hit my stop and I'll walk out with some green. But just not being stubborn and willing to take this move all the way back down based on some of the experience from the last couple of days. So, see profit, take profit. Struggling to blow through 23,100, pretty close. I think we hit 23,090. And at this point, it's either my stop or take profit. Either way, I'm in the green. I don't care. All right, so looks like 23,100 not happening on this wave. Might take a pullback here and then launch, but I'm not willing to test the EMA on this wave. If it takes the pullback, then be it. I'll get stopped out. Well, I'll hit a little bit of green and then maybe wait for a stronger pullback and participate again on the long. It's not over till it's over. Let's see if they have enough strength on this move. Otherwise, we'll have to wait for the pullback and then potentially re-enter probably around the 60 area, somewhere around here. If I can get the move in this wave, then that'd be great. I'm done. Struggling up here. Come on, nasty NASDAQ, push. You've been punishing us for like 3 days in a row with no direction. Give it to us easy. All right, she's hovering around 86, 23,100. I'm being a little lenient, not too greedy with that, and just closing it at 94. See if we get it. Although with this strength and pushing to all-time highs, I would assume this is going to continue and make new all-time highs, but at this point I don't need to get too greedy on this initial wave up. With an adjust, and I also adjusted it, and again missing it by a tick. All right, we got it, guys. That was a nice trade. Played the breakout of that pivot point for 890 in the green across all my accounts. One trade on momentum. Stop being stubborn and trying to counter trade the trend. That was a pivot point breakout to that current all-time high at 23,100. I didn't get greedy. I took 6 points off. And we like them easy, man. These days don't come too often. You saw me last week on some similar moves like this, trying to short it, trying to trade against the trend. You learn. We knew that a breakout was about to happen with 2-3 days of consolidation in that 800 to 1,000. So once you have an idea that the breakout is going to happen, and you find the direction, don't fight it. And I'm glad today I didn't. I probably waited a little long. I think 920 area or 930 area when I started getting interested. But then again, that was 1, 2, 3, 4 candles before I finally hopped on and saw the pivot point did not. That pivot point at the what was it, around the 60 area didn't provide a huge rejection, so hopped on that long. That was a nice one. But I'm sure everybody caught some green today. Today was easy. These are the days we like. Easy directional moves. So I hope everyone caught a piece of that. And, you know, I'll stay on for a little bit longer. But, you know, with close to $900 in the green per account, probably time to take a little break. Let's wait for a pullback. Let's wait for another directional move, whether it comes back down. I think it needs to come back down and test the 60 area and start basing. I would think the area to base, based on the previous little consolidation zone, is going to be somewhere around here. So it comes back, falls into this little bubble here, and then we got to watch for either a bull flag or some type of consolidation breaking out of that and then continue to the upside. But I calling it a day, especially after like I said, yesterday was brutal. 5 trades, all red, I had to get the hell out. Anytime you see me close shop that quickly and get out, that's one thing I've learned. If you're not in sync with the market, run for the hills. And I clearly wasn't yesterday, so I closed it all up. Then I did come back in the afternoon. Let me see if I can find that trade. I caught a nice, I think it was like 50 points and recovered, but that was until I think 11 a.m. my time, which is what, 2 p.m. Eastern. Where is that? Pretty sure. Here we go. Right here. So obviously we identified the range yesterday and caught this short, entered here for about 50 points. So I recovered, but that was afterwards, after taking I think it was like 5 trades, paper cuts. They all had stops, but there was no need for that. I need to identify the chop where I'm not in sync a lot sooner. Call it a day sooner. All right, back to this. So yeah, little pullback here to test the 9. But yesterday was pre-tilt. Took 5 trades, all red. And you can see that I was starting. If I had stayed a little longer, this is where you start adding contracts, leverage. So I did the right thing. I called it, came back later, and one trade, 50 points. Obviously, I had to hold to recover some of that loss, but nonetheless recovered. But I did walk out of the stream around 1,000 per account in the red. All right, let's hang out for a little bit. Like I said, today's a one and done trade. Easy directional move. I think everybody caught some green, so nothing to brag about there. I guess the good thing about this is I have a tendency to counter trade trends because my style is such a contrarian trader. Because in general, NQ, how many days, what percentage of NQ gives you a directional move like this at the open? Very little, right? 1 to 5%. So majority of the time you're playing chop. That's why I do better in chop. Well, yesterday was not an example of that. But I do better with contrarian trades. In other words, you see a push up, you play the pullback. You see a push down, you play the bounce. I do better in those just because that's how NQ normally moves. Today was directional, and I think I'm glad that I did not take the contrarian because I usually tend to take bigger losses on trend days trying to fight it, and for some reason I get into this mode of let me short the trend, or let me long push to the downside. Today I think I like the progress in my trading because I was able to hop on a direction hop at a high, right? It's risky. It still had strategy, right? It was the breakout of that pivot point and captured some nice points there. That other JC, what do you got for us? NVIDIA hits, 4 trill, okay. First company to ever do that, perhaps triggering or contributing to the risk rip. Yeah, NVIDIA moves NQ. Hold on, guys, I'll be right back. NVIDIA moves NQ, so yeah, 4 trillion. Wow, that's impressive. All right, well, like I said, I think I'm done. I thought the pullback would come back a little stronger. It looks like the bull flag is forming up here, which shows the bulls have even stronger presence. I mean, 3 days of consolidation. This is a big move, no question about it. If you look at the charts going back to Friday, Monday, we were in that 800 to 1,000 or 23,000 for 3 days in a row, just going back and forth. That much consolidation, 3 days, was going to lead to a breakout. Could have gone up or down. I would suspect there is more to this, to the upside, especially if we're hovering now at all-time highs. NQ probably targeting 23,200. But we got the nice directional play, and I'm done. I hope everybody caught a little piece of that. These are the easy days. These are the days that you, celebrate and walk out. Let's see what else we got. Let's chat here. Now we got plenty of time to chat. So 7:30, it's 8:30, 9:30, 10:30 Eastern. We got crude inventory. So we got news at 10 a.m. in 2 minutes. Wholesale inventories in 2 minutes. Yeah, 10 a.m. And then at 10:30 we got crude. All right, so it's not a red event, yellow, but let's see what wholesale sales inventory does. Is that another catalyst to continue to push this to the upside? Well, good morning to everybody. Hope everyone's having a green day and riding this strong move to the upside. It looks like there's the bull flag, and we're about to break out for further push to the upside. But like I said, after a day like yesterday where I got multiple paper cuts, let's take the green and walk the hell out of here. But I'll stay on for a little longer. I do appreciate everybody tuning in. I know you guys got a lot of options, a lot of streamers and traders, talented traders out there to watch. So thank you. Slowly building this. I don't get the best views or viewers in terms of numbers. It's going to take time. I'll probably have to hop on the Asia session a little more frequently to capture more viewers, but it's not a sprint. This is a marathon, and this is week 3. Now, there's that bull flag. You don't short bull flags. Played out to the T. And like I said, 2-3 days of consolidation. This has steam. There's plenty of steam to this to the upside. I would think at minimum 23,200 will be hit today. Wow. Look at that. Look at that. That's the result of 2-3 days of consolidation between 800 and 23,000 finally providing the breakout. King Caesar, happy you got it as well. You're done for the day. We love these easy days. They don't come that often. And one thing I guess I am happy is that I did not try to counter trade, or trade against the trend, which I'm very prone to doing. So today was a trend is your friend day. Guess your indicator in terms of open, how many candles, how many points with this? 979, a 30.1 minute candle right at the open. That was your sign. This is ripping today. But it was an easy one. Market was generous, but this is 1%. This is 1 to 3% of how NQ moves on a daily. The challenge, or what I usually struggle with, is identifying this and hopping on that long. I've been known to try to short this. Finally today, I guess lessons learned. Waited for the hit of that pivot point at around the 50-60 area. There was no rejection at that pivot point. That's when I hopped on that long for, targeting that 23,100 area. But there's definitely more to this. 2-3 days of consolidation, you would expect this minimum of 23,200 today. Stay on for a little bit. That means I'm done in 15 minutes, but let's watch it. Let's watch all-time highs happen as, this is all-time highs, isn't it? It is. Wow. The market NQ is resilient, man. It's almost like you go, anytime you get a strong pullback on NQ, you might as well just get on your personal account and long it. You just can't short the American economy, man. It's no joke. This is no joke what we're seeing right now. But all right, let's talk about something else. Like I said, I'm a happy camper. Done for today. Time for some Netflix and probably go wash the car today and enjoy the rest of the afternoon in 100-degree weather out here in Arizona. If you do want to, what's the word I'm looking for? Support the channel. Code JCDT, promo code JCDT. I think that's pretty much on most prop firms now, most of the ones that I trade. Take Profit Trader, one of my favorite ones, 40% off right now with no daily loss limit and end of day drawdown now on the pro accounts, which is huge. I'm copy trading Take Profit Trader, trying to get back into my pro account. I blew those months ago and I kind of faded out from Take Profit Trader, but I do want to get back on with them. So hopefully I can pass and get back on my pro account there. Take Profit Trader is a good one right now with 40% off, and you can use code JCDT. In general, I think most prop firms I'm set up now with code JCDT, and that does support the channel. So appreciate you all. Peter, man, today was one of those easy days. Ride the momentum and not counter trade it. So looks like the open was generous. Let's see what happens from here. I'm curious to see if they're, well, it does look like they're going to continue. This was a nasty little trap. So far there was no trap to the upside. Then you had this bull flag, gave a nice boner candle for about 30 points. So if you longed it here, now you got to make decisions. I mean, is it going to take a stronger pullback? I think not. But NQ is NQ. I would think it's going to use the 9 and the 20 as the ramp and continue to the upside. So anyone who hasn't taken a position, this is probably that second pullback for the next push up. We needed this. We needed this after, some brutal chop the last couple of days. Pushing, I would think that 23,200, which is your next pivot point, is the next stop for NQ today. Doesn't mean it's going to happen as directional as we've seen it, but I would think so. You know, Peter, I've been in those situations, deer with headlights, so many times, and I've actually seen it live on stream. It's part of it, man. The first week, this is week 3, by the way, live streaming every single day. The first week, there was 2 days that I didn't take trades, and I watched those videos afterwards. There were moves happening. I was literally just staring at the chart, just watching it. And I made it a point. I was like, I gotta figure out how to identify movements, trend, quicker, and not just watch it happen. Today, this is not normal trading for me. Usually, I try to short this. So this is a huge, not trying to brag here, but it's a huge improvement for me because of my contrarian style of trading. Usually I try to short this, or I just watch it happen. Okay, it's going to continue to goes up. Next level is this, and it just keeps going 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 points. And I'm just literally chit-chatting away, watching a whole move happen. I made it a point after watching myself, I think it was week 1, 2 days in a row, directional moves, and just chit-chatting away, watching a deer with headlights, or deer in headlights rather, and not taking a trade. So I'll take this as improvement. Hey, listen, every loss, every day you trade, it's a new lesson learned. As long as you journal, that's one thing live streaming does help. I can watch the live stream afterwards and literally pick on myself brutally. Every time I watch the live stream, I'm like, why did I take that entry? Why didn't I enter there? I mean, it was clearly showing me this is the time to enter. So that's one thing about live streaming. I will say it's a perfect journaling tool. I can watch it over the weekends. I can watch it in the afternoon. And I'm like, perfect journaling tool to go back and look at my trades. So I'll take this as a little lesson learned from mistakes in the past, trying to short a directional day to the upside. Okay, here's the next bull flag playing out. Is this going to be the pop to that 145, 140, 150 area? Sometimes you just have to, as I journal this, what I'll probably take a look at is go back and take a look at this area. What could I have done to get in earlier on this move? And the channel was being built pretty quickly, right? So sometimes when you're in these, and that's part of the reason why I got in today, I've learned to read these moves. These are strong, quick moves within a channel. Hop on. But can I participate on a pullback earlier, right? One of these pullbacks, pullback, 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 pullback that held the middle of that channel. There was no rejection. And then monitor the play. If you break out of the channel, then that's your stop. So that's what I'm going to do, is take a look at, how do I identify this type of momentum and enter sooner? My entry was based on a pivot point break. In other words, we got to that pivot point, we didn't reject, realized momentum was continuing, and that's where I entered the break of that pivot point to, obviously targeting current all-time highs, which were around 23,100. I didn't want to go greedy and go for the full 23,100. You guys saw me adjust it to, I think, 96 or something like that. But still, good 40, 45 points there. But it's this, learning to identify these tight little buying algos, because these are algos, it's not coincidence that you build this. This is when bulls, or if it's to the downside, bears are in control, hop on without even thinking about it. Put your stop below the break of that channel, and then the play is invalid, but usually these are juicy moves for 40, 50 points. So that's probably the learning lesson and the journaling in this move is, how do you participate on this sooner? Maybe front run the break of that pivot point, right? You're in a channel, wait for the pull. And these are minor pullbacks. These are 5, 7 point pullbacks. Hop on, front run the break of that pivot point. Probably would have captured another 20 points, but hey, I'll take it. The fact that I didn't try to short a bull run is progress. All right, so got a little lucky today. NQ was generous and got a one and done trade. Let's see, I'm just gonna watch at this point, probably for another 20, 30 minutes. And then enjoy the rest of the morning and afternoon. Now that I'm early, now that I'm done pretty early, then what I'll do is probably take a nice little break and come back for the afternoon session or for the evening session, and I'll do Asia tonight. I hate Asia, but less competition in terms of streaming during the Asia session, so I can capture some more viewers there. All right, looks like these bull flags are playing out, a lot smaller movements. Let's see if NQ has more push to the upside, or that's it. Well, generous move today with NQ. If you're new to the stream, do me a favor, smash that like, smash that subscribe button, and more importantly, hit that notification bell so you get notified when I post content. I live stream every day from Arizona. I also post content, videos on prop firm updates, news, prop firm drama. There's always something going on with futures prop firms. So there's some entertaining videos on my channel as well on that. For today, if you're just tuning in, I'm done. I caught a nice little long for about 45 points. Breakout of a pivot point targeting current all-time high at 23,100. So caught that little breakout and calling it a day. Interesting. I thought there would be more momentum to this. I mean, like I said, it could still happen. I just thought it would happen quicker based on 2 days of consolidation. I thought this was going to be a stronger move to the upside. Doesn't mean it can't happen. I'm just surprised it hasn't happened quicker with 2-3 days of consolidating between 800 and 23,000. I mentioned at the beginning of the stream that I was watching specifically for the move. In other words, we were consolidating between 800 and 23,000 for Monday, Tuesday, good part of Friday. We were in this range going back and forth, both during the New York session and overnight session. With that many days consolidating, move was boiling. Question was, is it going to happen to the upside or to the downside? The break happened here. In hindsight, how do I participate sooner on this? I'll take the 45 points that I got on this. What am I up? 850, 900 on every single account. But how do I get a little greedy and participate on this? Sooner will be the lesson or the journaling for today. All right, surprisingly, it's having trouble up here around all-time highs. I would think that it did establish all-time high. Let me see. What was the current all-time high? Chart's not working. Go. Back to $102 and we hit 115. Okay, so it did establish the current all-time high. Previous all-time high was 102 and we hit 114. So it did its job. I thought it would continue, but it is struggling up here. Or simply building some consolidation, a wider bull flag to the upside. Looks like it wants a pullback here. Maybe this is where it comes back to this level and then finds a bounce if it's going to continue to the upside. Basically my entry, which was the pivot point. So I can see how it comes back and tests pivot point for another bounce to the upside. If that's it and just comes back into range, that would suck. But I don't care at this point. I got my green and I'm out. NASDAQ struggling between that 80 and 110 area. What's it gonna do? Where is it gonna go? Catching up with my Discord here. If there's anybody new, I do have a Discord. I don't post too much content. It's not busy yet. Slowly building a community there, but I do have a community Discord. Surprised. I'm honestly surprised. I thought this move was going to be stronger and longer. If it's just another day of one quick move and then we're stuck in a 20-30 point consolidation, man, NQ just doesn't change. It's been doing that for the last 2 weeks. But at least today we finally broke out of that 23,000 area. I would think they want to hold above that versus going all the way back down. All right, little bull flag forming there as well. Probably just building consolidation. So you're in a consolidation zone. Building this little bull flag, extending it out. If it breaks out of this, then I could see it come back and test pivot point for another bounce. But we'll see. Slowing down. That'd be brutal if it stays in that range now for the rest of the day. All right, guys, I'm going to hang out for a little bit, but fortunately today NQ was generous and I walked out with a one and done trade and was done within the first 15 minutes. Doesn't always happen like that. It's learning how to pick up trend when it happens, when it's playing out, and capturing some points with that and walk out. All right, so we're getting that gradual sell-off. At this point, I would think it wants to touch or test pivot point, 23.55 area, or where I entered for the break. Dun, 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 dun. All right, slow down, huh? You don't short a bull flag though. But it's gradually selling down. See if there's a harsh sell-off from here or just building consolidation and widening the bull flag, and finally right around here you see that pop. I never chat, so now that I got time, let me chat here. All right, here we go. If you're just tuning in, I know everybody just hops on and off. That's why I keep repeating myself. I know everyone hops on for a couple minutes, somebody else comes in, so you'll see me repeating myself because that's how streaming works. Not everybody is tuned in or glued in for the whole session, but if you're just tuning in, I took a breakout trade at the pivot point. Yesterday was brutal. If anybody was tuned in, I took 5 paper cut trades that put me in significant red. I did take a winning trade in the afternoon, but yesterday was one of those days where you just have to identify the chop sooner and get the hell out. Today, identified the trend. I realized that at the pivot point, we weren't getting any strong rejection. Hopped on that long, targeting the current all-time high around 23,100. Was not greedy, and I think I put it at 96. Captured those 45 points for the upside and calling it a day. I'm watching here. I think there's more to the upside based on 2 days of consolidation. I would think there is more to this move, but I'm surprised it's slowed down here. Looks like we're finally building the end of this bull flag for a pop-up, but I'm not. Trades off at this point, locking it in for the day. All right, let's see if this little bull flag plays out and we get a pop for the continued move to the upside. Or does it want the pivot point test first around that 50-55 area, flush right down here, and then the push up? Either way, I'm not interested, but I'll watch for a little bit longer. There's the move for that pivot point. Pivot point would need to hold. In other words, quick little flush to this area. And I would assume based on this price action or the trend, bulls pick it up from this level and bounce it back up. If this is a failure, in other words, a failed auction up here, then we're going to see a stronger pullback, which I'd be very surprised. Morning, PR77. Wow, we are getting, well, that's the flush. So that's the flush that I talked about for pivot point. At that point, pivot point needs to hold. I would think with today's direction, this is the bounce area. We'll see some, attempt to flush out some longs. Wow. Let's see if it's true NQ brutal price action. Wow. If it flushes below this, I think this is, again, just the pivot point test, and you bounce. That's what NQ should do to continue the trend, and trend is your friend basis. If it flushes and comes back down, nasty freaking NASDAQ. Mr. PR77, yeah, man, it was a nice little play. Finally learned after after watching some of the videos, me trying to short the trend. Did not fight it today and caught that pivot point break here for about 45 points, one and done trade. But as you guys have seen me, I'm such a contrarian trader that it's taken a while to hop on direction. Because at the end of the day, days like today where you get this move up are what, 1 to 3% of the true movements with NQ? These are unicorn days. Most of the time, contrarian traders will have an edge because that's how NQ moves. It comes up 200 points, hit a level, support and resistance area, and goes back down, and you can that's usually my trade. You'll see me waiting for a push up, and I'll take the short. Watch it go down or flush, and I'll play the bounce. That's 95% of my trading. Usually, when I have a move like this, you'll see me suffer because I try to short it. And I've watched several videos of me, and this is the good thing with the live stream, I can go back and watch, where literally I'm either like a deer in headlights watching this move and just not doing anything, or I'll try to short it multiple times and not realize that today's not the day to mess around with direction. So the fact that I was able to hop on a long at a high for a breakout of a pivot point, granted I was watching that it did not reject, that's why it took that long, targeting current all-time highs, which at the time was 23 something. I'll take those 45 points as progress because usually I try to short this. This is interesting. Wow. NQ, man, coming back down. Is it really going to come back down to test VWAP at 23,000? Oh, that's your side. Get the hell out. Wow. Look at that trap. Listen, trend is your friend. I would think as much as NQ can be brutal, this is a flush and you're going to get the bounce to the upside. But now you're pretty close to 50% retracement on this move in terms of Fibonacci, right? That would invalidate the whole play. Where are my indicators? Can't even get my thing is freezing on me. All right, nothing's working. Never mind. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, now it's working. Let me hit it again. You would think, oh no, forget it. There's no point of even drawing Fibonacci. It's his full zero. So it retraced the whole move. Brutal. NQ, brutal. Wow. All right, I'm glad I called it a day. 2 days in a row of some brutal price action. Look at this nonsense. Crazy. All right. I did the right thing. NQ is nasty. To be honest with you, I honestly thought this was going to be a pullback to the pivot point, my entry, and the pivot point would hold and it bounces right back up. Did we get news? Hold on. There's got to be there's got to be a catalyst to this. Oh, right, 10:30. There was a 10:30. Right. Crude. Wholesale inventory. No, wholesale was at 10 a.m. This is crude. Well, how's it really going to accept? There's got to be a news factor to this. Otherwise, nasty NASDAQ. I don't see anything really in terms of news, just nasty NASDAQ being NASDAQ. All right, looks like that other JC, Trump tariff talks. Okay, so that would explain this move. Still nasty. Nasty, but that could be the liquidity run it needed, and then you get a nice little bounce here at VWAP. We're at VWAP right now, and I think my chart actually froze. My chart is experiencing some lag right now. I don't know why. All right, nasty NQ. Wow. Now, if this is a complete reversal, remember we talked about that range, right? 800 to 23,000. Call it, let's draw this out. We talked about this level being the range for the last 3 days, right? We were all day for 3 days in a row, overnight session, just hovering within this range. We took a breakout for 100 points, but if that's the failed auction up here and then we come back all the way down and potentially break to the downside, nasty NASDAQ. Like I said, I'm done. There's no way I'm trading this, especially after watching that. Looks like she wants more downside. Wow. So it's a repeat of yesterday. It's a repeat of the last couple of days. Even yesterday we had that push, 80 or 90 points, right back down, and then right back up. Nasty NASDAQ. You can't trust it. Wow. So this is all just tariff related? It's crazy. Let me yeah, but the tariffs were earlier today. I don't think this is related to tariff news just being dropped. Let's hop on CNBC real quick. So if we look at CNBC, all right, we knew about the NVIDIA hitting 4 trillion. That's probably what drove that initial move up. Tariff news was earlier today, 44 minutes ago. Okay, I guess that is related. Trump signals more tariff letters coming Wednesday, but that was 44 minutes ago. How far are we in this move? 7:13, about 15 minutes ago. So maybe it could be related to that. Otherwise, it's just nasty NASDAQ doing its thing. Moral of the story, don't trust NASDAQ. All right, guys, I'll be right back. All right, looks like it came down to test previous day high and overnight high. In other words, that could be your bounce. But man, talk about resiliency. If it takes the whole move back down to test, just to test yesterday's high and the overnight high, and then we push right back up, talk about brutal price action. All right, guys. I'm getting close to calling it, at least on the live stream. I'm done trading today. Got a nice one and done. Gonna enjoy the afternoon. And now that I have so much time, I'll probably hop on the Asia session tonight. Less competition, more viewers, and do some trading then. This is week 3 of my live streaming journey every day, showing up. My plan is to continue to do this every day, 9:15 a.m. Eastern, and win, lose, or draw. You're seeing it all live, the raw, the emotions, and the raw trading right here on my live stream. Very curious to see if NASDAQ is going to recover all this. It's nasty price action. It's what NASDAQ is known for, but totally did not expect a full retracement on that move. Literally came right back into the range that we've had in the last 2-3 days. If it continues and now breaks to the downside, wow, nasty played it ugly today. If it does, if it actually comes back all the way down to the bottom of the range we've been playing for the last 2 days and then flushes below that, brutal, brutal. Nasty NASDAQ. That's why we love it. It's testing that pivot point right now. So the initial pivot point break was this one, right? This area, that 50-60 area, that's where I long. We didn't see any rejection as we moved up to that pivot point. Usually you'll see stronger flushes and consolidation for an eventual move to the downside. That's when I didn't see the rejection at that pivot point. That's when I longed for the breakout from that pivot point to the current all-time high and caught that trade. This is surprising because, as I was saying earlier in the stream, I expected the test of this pivot point for a bounce based on momentum. This whole thing just shifted, retraced the entire move from the New York Open or this bull run. Now, if we're back in the 800 to 23,000, which was the range I talked about before the open in terms of a breakout, the breakout was going to happen either to the downside or to the upside. We came to 23,000 and basically pushed up, but now we're back in range. That is crazy. Sorry about 23,000. That's the range. Once we broke out of here, that's where I started getting interested in to participate in the long, but I honestly thought there was more to it. If this is a look above and fail that range, and we're just going to literally come back down and bears take it from here, wow. They played it nasty today. All right, guys, do me a favor, smash that like, smash that subscribe. If you're enjoying the content, hit that notification bell so you get notified when I post content. I'm going to call it pretty soon. I was done 15 minutes into the open. One of those days that NASDAQ was generous. It's not always like this. This is only 1 to 3% of your NQ movements on a daily. This move that generous, obviously we've seen now how it punishes afterwards, but very, very far and few easy trades like that. But I'll take it. All right, so it came back to test previous day high, overnight high, and basically the open. We opened around, what was the 978, so we went nowhere. We got excited with this huge bull run, came right back down, and we've gone nowhere today. Unfreaking believable. Nasty NASDAQ. If bears, like I said, pick it up from here and not only bring it back into range, but now flush below the level that we were talking about, this range 800 to 23,000 that we've been hovering for the last 2-3 days, brutal range, right? It's been a chop fest, especially yesterday was a brutal chop fest. If this thing really comes back down, they played it nasty today. If they come back down and just test it and then do a V recovery, well, that's what NQ does. But I'm not willing to trade it to find out either. Yeah, FOMC meeting minutes. I think it's just the minutes, right? I don't think it's the true FOMC news, right? Minutes at 2 p.m. So those are based on the last FOMC. Those are just the minutes, kind of the recap. I don't expect that to have too much volatility. And that's at 2 p.m. Eastern. But right back to where it started. Now I'm more interested in the bears taking this and just flushing it all the way down. That would be insane. If this was a fake out on the breakout of that 23,000, in other words, the bulls pushed it 100 points as a fake out, the trap, anybody looking for the next play to the upside getting trapped up here and either stopped out or holding for dear life at this point. If the bears are playing it nasty the way it's looking like, look above and fail on that overnight high and having that rejection, and they move it all the way down to that 800 and possibly flush below, they played it dirty today. As dirty as it gets. But it's a lesson, lessons learned. You can't trust NASDAQ. Number one. Number two, expect the unexpected. All right, they flushed below that 980. That was the pivot point that we were playing around yesterday, 980. 980 is trying to hold. But the bounce needs to happen in this area if the bulls are going to ride this up and play their V recovery like they normally do. If the bears are going to pick it up from here, you won't see the bounce, and you're going right back into this range, the 800 to 23,000. And at that point, are they really going to flush this all the way down and below 800? Crazy. All right, pivot point is at least trying to hold. Not a strong bounce though. Wow, they're really going to push this down today. Impressive. Impressive how dirty they played it. If it's truly the move now to the downside, nasty fake out. King Caesar, brother. You keep mentioning that, man. See money, take money. I'm taking your lead, bro. And walking out today, one and done. Because my bias, I mean, this is how NQ traps you. You get a nice play like this. You heard me during the commenting on this area, the bounce, 23,200, 23,200. So you get into that, I guess, FOMO, right? You get a nice trade. I'm up nicely, and then I want more. I'm gonna where would I have longed? The bottom of this channel range, playing the bull flag. You had multiple bull flags. You don't short a bull flag. Boom! I probably would have entered somewhere around here, 79, targeting the break of 100, and I would have paid dearly. Stopped out if I. Even if I had 20, 25 point stop, it still would have been a brutal play to the downside. And then at that point, we're still long bias. It's going to hold here. I'd long again and then take another punishment. So this is the learning lesson here is you got green. Your mind is biased based on what you see. The market will do exactly the opposite to take it right back. And that's exactly what it did. Anybody who played this long and held or got back in for another part of it got flushed out, realized, okay, we just came back to another level, probably longed again on that bounce, and then paid dearly. Now, if you're a pro and you can long this and you can short this, then God bless you. You know how to read the market insanely well. All right, we're in the upper quadrant of the overnight range and the range we've been playing for the last 2 days. Wow, they're really going to push this down. They're punishing. Trapped longs up here. All right, guys, that is enough for me today. Easy day. They're far and few. Price action like this is 1 to 3% at the open, right? You're never going to get a nice directional play like that. But when it happens, take it, walk out, smile, and enjoy the rest of the day. I'm done. I will see you guys tomorrow. This is now week 3 of live streaming every single day. So, beginning of this journey, live stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great one. Enjoy the rest of the day. Hope you guys all captured some green. And talk to you tomorrow. I'll actually hop on tonight. Since I'm done so early, I'll hop on tonight for the Asia session.